Welcome back to our channel. Today, in quiet reverence, we remember the talented artists who left us too soon, some only just days ago. From the icons of Hollywood to rising stars, they each brought light to the world of entertainment, until they passed away suddenly. If you feel moved by their stories, we invite you to leave a like as a silent tribute in their memory. Thank you. Now, let us begin. Tom Troupe, the beloved stage and screen actor, best known for his roles in Star Trek, Cagney and Lacey, and My Own Private Idaho, has passed away at 97. He died peacefully from natural causes, just 5 days after his birthday, at his home in Beverly Hills. Born in Kansas City, Missouri, Tom began his journey in local theater before earning a scholarship to study under the legendary Uta Hagen. His Broadway debut came in 1957 with The Diary of Anne Frank, setting the stage for a career spanning over 6 decades across film, television, and theater. His life was not without interruption. He served in the Korean War, where he was awarded the Bronze Star. This detour from acting could have ended many dreams, but for Tom, it became part of his foundation. With quiet strength, he returned to the stage, rebuilding his career with grace and persistence. He transitioned to Hollywood, acting alongside his wife, Carol Cook, and writing his own one-man show, The Diary of a Madman, a symbol of his creative rebirth. Through enduring partnerships, a body of work reflecting both humor and depth, and a legacy of compassion, Tom Troupe leaves behind more than performances. He leaves a spirit of resilience and inspiration that lives on.
Someone asked me last week what my greatest achievement was. My greatest achievement was that I survived.
Connie Francis, the iconic pop singer and actress, best known for timeless hits like Who's Sorry Now, Lipstick on Your Collar, and Don't Break the Heart That Loves You, has passed away at 87. She died peacefully after recent health complications, as confirmed by her longtime publicist and friend. Born Concetta Franconero in Newark, she rose to fame after winning StarTime Talent Scouts, later signing with MGM and becoming America's top charting female vocalist of the late 1950s and early 60s. Her voice graced both radios and movie screens, starring in films like Where the Boys Are and Looking for Love. Tragically, her life was scarred by a violent assault in 1974, followed by a lost voice and the shocking murder of her brother. What might have broken many only deepened her resolve. With quiet strength, she fought to recover, sharing her truth in a memoir and becoming a symbol of survival. Even late in life, her classic Pretty Little Baby found new fans through TikTok, showing her reach endured. Connie Francis leaves behind not only unforgettable songs, but a legacy of resilience, courage, and grace that will echo through generations. If her story touched you, we invite you to subscribe and help us honor more voices that shaped the soundtrack of our lives.
I hate to be ungracious, but I felt it was about time.
Eileen Fulton, the legendary soap opera star best known for her unforgettable role as Lisa Miller on As the World Turns, has passed away at 91. She died peacefully in Asheville, North Carolina, after a period of declining health, her family confirmed. Born Margaret Elizabeth McClarty, the minister's daughter from Asheville knew from childhood she would be an actress. After training under Sanford Meisner in New York, she was cast in what was meant to be a 3-month role. But Lisa Miller would become one of television's most iconic characters, spanning nearly 50 years. Fame brought both glory and strain. Fulton left the show several times, facing rejection and career uncertainty. But each return was triumphant because Lisa was hers alone, and the audience wouldn't let her go. With quiet strength, she transformed daytime drama. Inducted into the Soap Opera Hall of Fame in 1998 and honored with a Daytime Emmy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2004, she was also the first in her field to have a personal publicist and bodyguard, a testament to her fame and cultural impact. Her legacy is one of fierce originality. Eileen Fulton didn't just play a role, she shaped television history. If her story touched you, subscribe to help us remember more pioneers who changed the face of entertainment. Joanna Bacon, the beloved British character actress, best known for her role as Natalie's mother in Love, actually has passed away at 72. She died on June 14, 2025, after a short and brave battle with cancer, as confirmed by Harlow Theatre Company and her longtime agency. Born in London, Joanna began her working life in publishing before boldly changing paths to pursue acting. She trained at the Actors Institute and found her calling on stage, debuting with Harlow Theatre Company in 1978, and later performing at National Theatre and Sheffield Crucible. Her journey was not without risk. Leaving behind a stable career to follow passion takes courage. She faced late entry into the industry and the uncertainties of supporting roles, but never wavered. With quiet strength, Joanna built a career marked by subtle brilliance. Her warmth and timing lit up screens in EastEnders, Breeders, and Moonflower Murders, while she remained a devoted presence in local theater for over 4 decades. She leaves behind a legacy of humility, excellence, and generosity. Joanna Bacon showed us that it's not fame, but dedication and kindness that earn lasting admiration. If her life touched you, we invite you to subscribe and continue celebrating the quiet heroes of the arts. Joanna Bacon, the beloved British character actress best known for her role as Natalie's mother in Love, actually has passed away at 72. She died on June 14, 2025, after a short and brave battle with cancer, as confirmed by Harlow Theatre Company and her longtime agency. Born in London, Joanna began her working life in publishing before boldly changing paths to pursue acting. She trained at the Actors Institute and found her calling on stage, debuting with Harlow Theatre Company in 1978 and later performing at National Theatre and Sheffield Crucible. Her journey was not without risk. Leaving behind a stable career to follow passion takes courage. She faced late entry into the industry and the uncertainties of supporting roles, but never wavered. With quiet strength, Joanna built a career marked by subtle brilliance. Her warmth and timing lit up screens in EastEnders, Breeders, and Moonflower Murders while she remained a devoted presence in local theater for over 4 decades. She leaves behind a legacy of humility, excellence, and generosity. Joanna Bacon showed us that it's not fame, but dedication and kindness that earn lasting admiration. If her life touched you, we invite you to subscribe and continue celebrating the quiet heroes of the arts. Rufus Young Noble, Cooper III, the beloved rapper and final member chosen by Tupac Shakur to join the legendary group Outlaws, has tragically died at 47. He passed away by suicide on July 4, 2025, in Atlanta, as confirmed by his family and longtime collaborators. Born in 1978, Noble entered the hip-hop world in 1996, becoming a key voice in Tupac's posthumous album, The Don Killuminati, The 7 Day Theory, including the iconic track, Hail Mary. He later forged a solo career with albums like Noble Justice and Son of God, projects steeped in faith and resilience. Behind the lyrics, however, lay deep pain. Noble fought a silent battle with mental health that ended far too soon. His final message, "Hold on, be strong and don't give up," now echoes with heartbreaking weight. With quiet strength, he turned grief into poetry and brotherhood into legacy. His music remained raw, spiritual, and real, a lifeline for many listeners facing their own storms. Young Noble's legacy is more than music. He reminds us that behind even the strongest voices are hearts that need healing. If his story moved you, consider subscribing to Honor Voices That Still Speak, even after the mic is gone.
There are many cultural differences. I'd say that the most predominant one that I recognize...
Julian McMahon, the charismatic Australian actor best known for his unforgettable portrayal of Dr. Doom in Fantastic Four and the complex Dr. Christian Troy in Nip Tuck, has tragically passed away at 56. He died peacefully on July 2nd in Clearwater, Florida, after a courageous battle with cancer. Born in Sydney in 1968, Julian was the son of Australia's former Prime Minister Billy McMahon. He began his career in television dramas like Home and Away before transitioning to U.S. productions, where his magnetic screen presence quickly set him apart. Julian's journey was not without challenges. Early roles came with pressure to live up to his family legacy, and public scrutiny intensified with fame. Yet he navigated with quiet strength, embracing each role with authenticity and grace. In Nip Tuck, his performance earned a Golden Globe nomination in 2005, while his later portrayal of FBI agent Jesse LaCroix in FBI Most Wanted introduced him to a new generation of viewers, showing his remarkable adaptability and dignity in evolving roles. Julian McMahon leaves behind not only memorable characters, but a legacy of dedication and resilience. His spirit lives on in the stories he told and in the joy he brought to audiences around the world. May his legacy continue to inspire.
We've had a lot of fan reaction to the character of Piet. Would you like to be in the next movie?
Kenneth Colley, the beloved British character actor best known for his unforgettable portrayal of Admiral Piet in the original Star Wars trilogy, has passed away at 87. He died peacefully at his home in Ashford, Kent, on July 1st, 2025, surrounded by close friends after complications from pneumonia following a fall and COVID infection. Born in Manchester in 1937, Colley built a remarkable 6-decade career across stage, television, and film. From portraying Jesus in Monty Python's Life of Brian to Shakespearean roles for the BBC, his range and quiet strength captivated audiences. Though never one to seek the spotlight, Colley faced the unpredictability of show business with steadfast dignity. His journey reflected grace in hardship, adapting from intense dramatic roles to cult classics with unwavering integrity. He returned to Star Wars fans through conventions and even reprised his iconic role in Lego Star Wars, reminding us of his deep affection for the art and its community. A director in his own right and a mentor to many, Colley's legacy lies in characters etched in memory and performances that inspire depth. His passing is a profound loss, yet his artistry continues to echo, quietly and powerfully, across generations.
You know, what I was looking at, but it's black and white movie, and I thought
Michael Madsen, the unforgettable character actor best known for his chilling role as Mr. Blonde in Reservoir Dogs and his long-time collaboration with Quentin Tarantino, has died at 67. He was found unresponsive at his home in Malibu on the morning of July 3rd after a suspected cardiac arrest. Born in Chicago in 1957, Madsen began his acting journey at the Steppenwolf Theater under John Malkovich, before transitioning to Hollywood with roles in War Games, Thelma and Louise, and Donnie Brasco. Despite his fame, Madsen wrestled with personal struggles and the burden of being typecast. He once reflected, "I think I've been more believable than I should have been. People really fear me." Yet, behind that on-screen intensity was a devoted father of 7, a published poet, and a gentle soul. He found peace in simplicity, home, pajamas, and old westerns with his children. Even in his later years, Madsen kept creating with his final work, Tears for My Father, offering raw, poetic insight into masculinity and grief. Michael Madsen leaves behind a legacy not only of iconic performances, but of artistic vulnerability and human truth. His presence may be gone, but his voice, on screen and in verse, will resonate for generations. Preta Gil, the beloved Brazilian singer and feminist activist, best known for her powerful voice and fearless advocacy for equality, has passed away at 50. She died on July 21st in New York after a courageous battle with colorectal cancer. Daughter of iconic musician Gilberto Gil and actress Sandra Gadelha, Preta grew up immersed in Brazil's artistic spirit. She released her debut album, Preta in 2003 and quickly carved her own path, blending pop with social commentary and fierce authenticity. From the start, she faced criticism for her openness about her bisexuality, her body, and her identity. But she never wavered. With quiet strength, she turned adversity into purpose, becoming a champion for women, Black Brazilians, and the LGBTQ+ community. She responded to prejudice with music, memoir, and voice. Her book, Os Primeiros 50, became a personal testament, and her albums celebrated every shade of human dignity. Her final years, though marked by illness, were filled with honesty and grace. Preta leaves behind not just a body of work, but a movement. Her life was a melody of defiance, love, and legacy. One we'll carry forward with gratitude and pride. Robbie Pardlo, the soulful voice of City High, best known for the Grammy-nominated anthem, What Would You Do?, has tragically died at 46. He passed away on July 17th in Willingboro, New Jersey, surrounded by loved ones. Born with a gift for music and storytelling, Pardlo rose to fame in the early 2000s as the lead singer of City High, a group that fused R&B with raw, real-life narratives. Their self-titled debut album left a lasting mark on a generation. But behind the music, Robbie faced deep personal struggles. After the group disbanded, he battled alcoholism and emotional trauma, magnified by the unraveling of close relationships. In a rare public moment of courage, he appeared on Intervention in 2010, opening up about his fight with addiction. That act of honesty revealed a man with quiet strength and a longing to heal. Though he never returned to chart-topping fame, he rebuilt with dignity, forming the group First Take and continuing to perform with heart. He leaves behind his wife Annika, 2 children, and a legacy of resilience. Robbie Pardlo's life was not without pain, but he channeled his truth into song. His voice echoed with struggle, and in that echo, many found their own strength.
Kind of like a movie star, but he's not really, but he's a...
Geena Davis. A journey through stardom, struggles, and resilience. Where are they now? They say tall girls are born with a view of the world others can't see. But for a young Virginia, Elizabeth Davis, later known as Geena, the view wasn't always comforting. It loomed with expectation, judgment, and a deep sense that she didn't quite belong in the frame. And yet, by daring to rewrite her own story, on screen, in life, and in the culture at large, she became something far more than a Hollywood star. She became a legacy. Before we dive into this remarkable journey of talent, pain, and comeback, we invite you, our viewers, especially those who remember her from the golden age of cinema, to share your favorite Geena Davis moment in the comments. Was it the fearless pistol in Thelma and Louise, or the graceful throw across center field in A League of Their Own? Tell us. Your memories keep legacies alive. Geena Davis's story begins in the quiet coastal town of Wareham, Massachusetts, where she was born on January 21st, 1956. Her mother, Lucille, a warm and steady teacher's aide, and her father, William, a Navy veteran turned aeronautical engineer, raised Geena and her brother in a house grounded in New England discipline, but quietly rich with permission to dream. As a child, Geena was already performing, standing on the fireplace hearth reciting Sunday funnies with Broadway dramatics. But childhood was not all standing ovations. By age 10, she was already over 5 feet 8 inches, a towering figure in a sea of shorter classmates. The teasing nicknames cut deep, but they planted something inside her, a promise. If I ever got to a place where people listened, she would later reflect, I'd speak for those who felt too big, too strange, too wrong. In high school, Geena immersed herself in music, drama, and tech crew, building props, playing the flute, mastering Shakespeare and Sondheim. Summers at Camp Shakasay revealed another side, leadership. She coaxed shy kids out of silence with improv games, mirroring her own journey toward confidence. At night, she filled journals with costume sketches, inner monologues, and dreams of embodying lives beyond her own. Those pages, she later admitted, were rehearsal for the future. After a brief stint at New England College, Geena transferred to Boston University's College of Fine Arts, where conservatory training tested both her talent and her resolve. Living in a cramped apartment, her prized possession was a full-length mirror taped to the closet door, her rehearsal space from dusk till 2 a.m. That mirror saw me become 50 different women before I became myself. She'd laugh later in interviews. A semester abroad in Sweden introduced her to Ingmar Bergman's minimalist intensity. Back in Boston, feminist script analysis lit a fire that would someday power the Geena Davis Institute on Gender in Media. By 1979, armed with training, height, and grit, she moved to New York. Daytimes, she was a mannequin in Macy's window. Nights, she stood in lines for off-Broadway auditions. The irony wasn't lost on her. Freezing in a display window while strangers stared, women's bodies as spectacle. But a Zoli modeling contract and a Richard Avedon Vogue shoot changed everything. Hollywood came calling in 1982. Her screen debut in Tootsie may have lasted only minutes, but it was unforgettable. She played a naive soap actress in a bathrobe, turning what could have been a throwaway role into a scene-stealing moment of comedic ambition. That was the day, she once said. I decided I would never be a mannequin in someone else's story again. Her breakout came with Transylvania 6-5000, 1985, and 2 years later, her role as a journalist in The Fly opposite Jeff Goldblum, also her future husband, catapulted her into the spotlight. The film's grotesque metamorphosis only worked because Geena grounded it in human emotion, vulnerability, and strength entwined. Then came Beetlejuice, 1988, where she brought heart to Tim Burton's visual chaos and The Accidental Tourist, for which she won her first Academy Award. Playing dog trainer Muriel, Geena balanced streetwise wit with raw tenderness. Hollywood had crowned a new queen. But her defining moment came in 1991 when she teamed up with Susan Sarandon in Thelma and Louise. The film exploded onto the cultural landscape, giving voice to women trapped in roles they didn't choose. That final cliffside plunge wasn't a tragedy. It was defiance, freedom, sisterhood. The film earned her a second Oscar nomination and forever etched her into cinematic history. A year later, in A League of Their Own, she laced up cleats as Dottie Hinson, the poised, no-nonsense catcher of the Rockford Peaches. While Tom Hanks delivered the now iconic line, "There's no crying in baseball," it was Geena's calm, quiet presence that made you believe in every woman who ever stepped onto a field not built for her. She trained until she could actually pitch for the cameras, because legacy, for her, meant authenticity. By the mid-1990s, Geena Davis was not just a star, she was a symbol. But behind that 6-foot elegance and Academy gold, the real story was just beginning. But even legends stumble, and for Geena Davis, the unraveling came not from scandal, but from something far more intimate, pain that whispered, then screamed from deep within. In the mid-1990s, still riding the wave of cultural impact after Thelma and Louise and A League of Their Own, Geena was silently breaking. Years of physical demands, sword fighting, base sliding, wire hanging, had taken a toll. Her spine, once a proud pillar of her 6-foot presence, began to betray her. Shooting pains down her neck and back turned into chronic agony. She had insisted on doing her own stunts, authenticity always, but it came at a price. The body that had once defied stereotypes now demanded surrender. "I didn't want to seem fragile," she later confessed, "but my body was trying to tell me something, that strength isn't always about pushing through." The diagnosis was grim. Multiple micro-tears had compounded into nerve compression. At Cedars-Sinai, specialists performed a minimally invasive spinal decompression surgery in 1999. Recovery forced her to slow down, something she'd never done. No cameras, no red carpets, just breath, stillness, and a mirror. The same mirror from her Boston apartment now hung in her private recovery room, not for acting practice, but for witnessing transformation. What followed wasn't just physical healing. It was a sobriety journey of the soul. Geena turned inward. She began practicing meditation, breathwork, and Pilates. She embraced acupuncture and the Alexander technique. Her tall frame, once a source of childhood insecurity and adult pain, became something to align and honor, not fix or shrink. In this quiet rebirth, she discovered something surprising: archery. At first, it was a simple hobby, a way to recenter, rebalance. But within 2 years, Davis stunned the world by ranking 24th out of 300 at the U.S. Olympic archery trials. She was in her mid-40s, surrounded by teenage phenoms, and holding her own. "The target doesn't care how famous you are," she joked. "It only cares about precision." The comeback wasn't on magazine covers, but it was radical. Geena Davis was no longer just reclaiming her health. She was redefining what strength, age, and femininity could look like. But her challenges weren't just physical. Around the same time, she was diagnosed with pernicious anemia, a chronic condition that impairs B12 absorption, leaving her constantly fatigued. "There were days I couldn't walk up my own stairs," she admitted. "I thought I was just tired." But tired can be a symptom of something deeper. Instead of retreating into privacy, Davis leaned in. She learned the science, advocated for lab testing, demanded answers. She began a regimen of monthly B12 injections, iron-rich meals from her homegrown garden, and strict mindfulness routines. When interviewers asked her for beauty secrets, she responded with quiet defiance. "Let's talk about invisible illness instead." It was in this crucible of pain and healing that a deeper mission was born. In 2004, she founded the Geena Davis Institute on Gender in Media, a research engine designed to quantify gender bias in film and television. "Name the bias, show the numbers, then change the system," she explained. That mantra, part academic, part spiritual, became her legacy blueprint. But legacy is not built in isolation. While the Institute gathered data, Geena also rebuilt her personal life. Her high-profile marriage to Jeff Goldblum had ended in 1990, followed by another public divorce from director Renny Harlin in 1998. But in 2001, she married surgeon Reza Jarrahi, and in her mid-40s, she became a mother, first to daughter Alize, then to twin sons Kai and Keon. It wasn't a fairy tale. Geena developed gestational hypertension, requiring bed rest and cardiac monitoring. But once again, she turned hardship into visibility. She allowed Good Morning America to document her prenatal care, raising awareness and pushing for better maternal health coverage. She gave late motherhood a new face, not desperate or overdue, but emotionally ready, grounded, and fierce. Motherhood became her most demanding and most fulfilling role. And when the marriage ended in 2017, she didn't crumble. She pivoted. She created a stable, tech-savvy home where her children could thrive. Family dinners now included prototype VR goggles from her institute's labs. Discussions weren't about ratings. They were about representation. "I learn more from my kids than I ever did from Hollywood," she once said. "They keep me honest and curious." As her children grew, so did her commitment to mentorship. She launched Jane Labs, an incubator named after Thelma and Louise's original working title, where young coders develop inclusive game design. She spoke on TED stages, mentored female directors, and developed Spell Check for Stereotypes, an AI script tool that flags gender cliches before production even begins. Throughout it all, the mirror remained. Still full length, still honest, still a portal between who she had been and who she was becoming. Her mantra today echoes in workshops and keynotes alike. You deconstruct your character arcs, rewrite the lines that no longer serve you. Geena Davis didn't just survive Hollywood, she rewrote it. Now at 69, Geena Davis stands not at the edge of a career, but at the center of a legacy. She lives in a solar-powered craftsman home tucked into the serene hills of Pacific Palisades. Her days begin not with auditions or scripts, but with a walk out to the vegetable garden, where cherry tomatoes grow in neat rows, basil leans toward the morning sun, and the air smells of intention. The same garden, her doctor says, helped stabilize her B12 levels. "It's not glamorous," she once chuckled in a live stream, "but these carrots are healing." 3 mornings a week, she still practices instinctive archery at the Los Angeles Bowman Range. Alone with her bow, she lines up each shot not for the camera, but for clarity. Each arrow is a reminder that the body she once feared had failed her is still here. Strong, aligned, quietly powerful. She's no longer chasing roles. Instead, she's choosing them. In 2024, she starred and executive produced Archery Club, an indie dramedy filmed partly on that very same range. Critics called it a celebration of midlife reinvention. It premiered at Sundance not as a nostalgic comeback, but as a redemption. A declaration. You can begin again. Meanwhile, her institute continues to push cultural impact forward. In 2025, its AI script tool, nicknamed Spell Check for Stereotypes, was adopted by major networks during table reads. White papers are now cited in writers' rooms. Streaming giants track screen time balance thanks to her metrics. Her team continues hosting TED-style summits, one of which, See Jane 2024, led to studio parody pledges tied to actual data, not just PR fluff. But numbers aren't the only impact. She mentors not just artists, but engineers, activists, and even gamers. Her twins, Kai and Keon, now in college and competitive esports, help test VR prototypes developed by the Institute. Her daughter Alize, now a law student, studies sports equity and brings her mother's same unshakable calm into policy debates. Our dinner table is part think tank, part improv rehearsal. Geena laughs. She still calls herself a veteran mentor, but her mentorship isn't confined to speeches. Every Sunday, she hosts Jane Labs, informal hackathons for young creators refining inclusive storytelling. And when a teen coder asked her why she still shows up every week, she replied with trademark candor, "Because someone once stood still in a window so I could learn to move. There's no need for Hollywood gold anymore." Her trophies sit quietly in a sunlit corner next to her well-used garden gloves and that old rehearsal mirror, still reflective, still sacred. What shines brighter now is her sobriety journey from pain to power, from fame to purpose. When she speaks publicly, her voice is calm, centered, the cadence of someone who has lived, fallen, rewritten, and risen. "We don't get to control how we're seen," she told a panel last year, "but we can control how we choose to show up." And show up she does. In downtime, she takes joy flights with her partner, a NASA aerospace engineer she met at an outreach event. Together, they chase solar eclipses, celestial wonder, a reminder of her girlhood nights in Wareham, eyes wide toward the stars. The woman who once feared being too tall too much now owns every inch of space she walks in. She no longer performs to prove. She exists to empower. She's rewritten her own arc from ingenue to icon, from mannequin to movement. And in the final frame of this story, not as an end, but as a living metaphor, imagine this. It's early morning. A light fog hangs over the range. Geena Davis, hair tied back, draws her bow. The target waits. She breathes, holds, releases. The arrow flies, cuts silence, lands, center. Not for applause, not for approval, but for herself. Because that, too, is legacy. You deconstruct your character arcs, rewrite the lines that no longer serve you inside. And if this story moved you, reminded you of a role you loved, or gave you pause to think about your own reinvention, please subscribe, leave a comment, share this tribute. Because like Geena Davis, maybe we're all just trying to aim a little better at our futures, our pasts, and at the stories we hope to leave behind.